Here is the infamous Comfort Zone stand fan, and this was a fan that I recently found from the curb, and I bought it here because I wasn't finding that many good finds, and I just gave this one an exception. So this fan was just completely locked up when I tested at a CVS pharmacy near the location I found this at, and when I opened up the motor, I saw how seized up it was. It was that locked up to the point where the bearing itself was moving along with the shaft, and that couldn't do. So I oiled it and then I cleaned the shaft really good, and it now works well. So let's start on speed 1. For what seems to be a cheap fan, this thing is actually pretty decent, I must say. It's very quiet, and even though it's not elastic like this one right here, it actually does blow a decent amount of air. So I can kind of see why people rely on this fan a lot. I mean, it's not powerful, but it's good enough to keep you cool down in a small bedroom or something like that. And while it doesn't have a really powerful motor, it does move air. And the blades, they're actually pitched well. They're not really as terrible as other fans. I have seen worse than this one. Like, there was this brand by I think it was like, I don't know what it was, but all I know is the manufacturer was Foshin. And those fans, they're just very terrible. Like, the blades, they're just flat. The grills, they just bend very easily. I mean, their bases are still good, but there are others where the bases are just very horrible. The bases just use like 2mm aluminum can foil for the cross bases, and the blades are pretty much pitchless, and they're not even the right size, and the plastic just breaks that easily. So those fans make the Comfort Zone look a bit more sturdy in terms of performance. Let's put it up to speed 2, and I'll keep talking from there. So another reason why these fans are so infamous is because of the bases they use. So that's the base Comfort Zone uses, and those have always seemed to be a big problem when it comes to these fans, and that is because the Comfort Zone tends to use like plastic for the hub of the base, and that leads to problems with either one, the hardware not being secure enough, or the thing just breaking off, or number 3, one of the legs getting lost. But it's really flimsy, but it's not really flimsy once you tighten it enough. So it's good enough. I said before, I've seen worse bases than this one. So even though it's not really that well made, at least it still stands properly and it's not scratching the floors or anything like that. The height adjustment is not very far. I mean, it could have been a bit longer, but yet again, it has that base. So yeah, only the CVS pharmacy versions or the 18-inch stand fans of the Comfort Zone have the round bases, but other fans, they don't. And I can feel the air moving on speed 2, which is incredible for a cheap fan again. But one thing to note, this was not how Comfort Zone has always been, and I'll explain why. So that's speed 3. It's not running very fast, but it is moving air, and I can feel it around the kitchen. So, as I was saying, this was not always the Comfort Zone. I mean, I have seen Comfort Zone fans from the late 2000s, and I must say, those were built a slight bit better than the modern ones, actually. Well, and yeah, it's either with the plastic on the base being very durable, or it having metal grills, was the fact that the motors are powerful, and the blades they have a bit more pitch and they were thicker and sturdier. So yeah, I mean, this model of Comfort Zone is slowly being phased out for a new one that has the switch on the side of the oscillator. So yeah, let's engage the oscillation. So I'm not exactly sure when the brand of Comfort Zone came out, but I think I have a clue of when exactly. So this was like a few years back, I would say around 2018. And near that location where I filmed the trains and planes, there is this Salvation Army, and in there one time I remember seeing this box fan. And when I took a closer look at that box fan, the 9-inch one, it was branded Comfort Zone, and that thing dated back all the way to 2001. So I think the Comfort Zone brand came around like maybe the late 90s or the early, or maybe the year 2000. I'm not exactly sure, but they existed before. The other clue is that high velocity fan that I have found in the habitat a few months back that dated all the way back to 2003. So, and that just tells you this was not always Comfort Zone. Comfort Zone used to be a decent brand as well, which is incredible. But even though they cheapened out, they at least still know the basics of quality standards, which is impressive. And they make them for a very cheap price as well. This fan, I might have it for sale later on. I might sell it locally and see how much I can make out of this. I've been selling fans, so to make more space, since like there is a tendency over the summer for new fans to come in. So yeah. This thing just runs fine. There's barely any issues with it. I mean, I've seen a lot of dead Comfort Zone fans, especially this model in black or white, or the desk fans from like recent years, but there are those that probably died like after a full decade of use. Not kidding. And there are others that also have a decade of use, more than a decade of use, and they still work, surprisingly. So that also tells you that the Comfort Zone motors are like pretty much any other fan. Like, if you maintain them properly, you clean them properly, and you take care of it properly, it's gonna last you for quite some time. This one, I'm not sure what the maximum life would be, but I would say it's like maybe like the same time any other fan runs, but I'm not exactly sure because of the beefy motors it has. But yeah, they're not terrible at all. They are decent for modern standards, at least. Now that there are other fans that are just going straight underground with their quality. But yeah. So now I'm going to shut this thing off. And let's see it spin down. That's a fairly decent spin down. Those bearings there are decent. And it would have been if the blade wasn't so light. It would have shown how much longer the spin that would have been, but oh well. So that's that. That is the Comfort Zone 16-inch stand fan. Operation and initial opinions. Thank you for watching.